Hi there, my name is Danny Morris and I'm excited to share with you what my dissertation project will be. My topic is the United States' militarization programs of North America's Arctic during the Cold War. My preliminary thesis is as follows. The United States pursued a militarization program in Greenland and other Arctic regions which alienated other international programs. The last successful Arctic program was the International Geophysical Year 1957 to 1958. Now I plan on using 3 publications for my interpretive lenses. Number 1 is William Cronin's Nature's Metropolis, Chicago and the Great West, published in 1992. Cronin created the environmental discipline with this work and his other works. Harm J. DeBlige's The Power of Place, Geography and Destiny, Globalization's Rough Landscape, published in 2010. He describes how geographical locations drive decisions. My third and final interpretive lens will be John Lewis Gattis's The United States and the Origins of the Cold War, published in 2000. He describes Cold War diplomatic history from its beginnings to its height. And so during my preliminary research, I discovered 2 historiographical issues. The first is diplomatic history. Gattis, as I previously mentioned, did an overarching view of diplomatic history. However, he barely mentions the Arctic. And so I was curious, and my question is, how did the United States view the Arctic? And why did the United States prevent an Arctic treaty? So the next article that I'm going to describe is Evanthus Hatzanvicilu's NATO Committee on the Challenges of Modern Society, 1969 to 1975, Transatlantic Relations, the Cold War, and the Environment, published in 2017. Hatzanvicilu describes that the United States united Western technologically advanced nations, which met the environmental challenges in the middle of the Cold War. So I had a question, which is, how did this relationship affect Arctic views? So my second historiographical issue that I found was environmental history. The first article is Adrius Reichstein's Space, the Last Cold War Frontier. Reichstein describes how space became the ultimate frontier during the Cold War, especially after the United States landed humans on the moon in 1969. So my question is, despite the technological capabilities, how did the Arctic experiences assist the space program? So next article is Ronald E. Doyle's Constituting the Post-War Earth Sciences, Military Influence on Environmental Sciences in the USA after 1945. Now, Doyle describes how the American military shaped the environment because it wanted new technology for the Cold War. He describes how the military does what it does best, by conquering, and he describes how the military conquers the environment. Now, Doyle teamed up with 2 other people, Christine Harper and Matthias Hymans, to edit a book titled Exploring Greenland, Cold War Science and Technology on Ice, published in 2016. Their thesis is that they blend extreme environmental and technological development. They also conclude that Greenland was critical for the defense of the United States during the Cold War. The military built Thule Air Base during the Cold War. And so I had a question of what about the rest of the Arctic? This book is where I discovered that the United States actually prevented an international Arctic treaty. And they weren't clear. And so I was curious as to why and how did the United States did this. And so the last article is Whitley P. Lackenbauer and Matthew Farish's The Cold War on Canadian Soil, Militarizing a Northern Environment, published in 2007. Lackenbauer and Farish describe a militarization program in the Canadian Arctic. This extended from World War II because the United States feared a surprise attack from the Soviet Union. But they left out Alaska and Greenland. And so I'm curious, how did the military view the North American Arctic? Now, the Distance Early Warning Line was the capstone for this militarization program. Now, some of my expectations during my research is from these questions. How did the United States military develop the Arctic tundra during the Cold War? Next, what were the impacts on diplomacy between Europe and the United States on the Arctic? Also, what was the relationship between the United States, Canada, and Denmark? Denmark was our closest ally during the Cold War, and so was Canada. However, publicly, some people were reporting that we weren't so friendly, but behind the scenes, that seems to be opposite. And finally, how did American frontier spirit impact the Arctic view and outer space?